G'day folks, Kathy Williams-Devries here, bringing you your 7th clarinet lessons. In the first lesson we learned how to put the thing together. The next lesson I taught you the basic embouchure, which is bottom lip over bottom teeth, sides of the mouth firm and chin pointed down. We've learned the notes C through to G. We've learned about half notes or minims and crotchets, also rests and repeats, and also the concept of articulation. So we move on now to the note A. A is this key right here, this little key on the front. And the way you get to it is, if you're playing, you just roll your wrists like that, because eventually you'll be going and you really want to be rolling rather than placing your finger on the note. So let's we're now up to number 35, quality control. Starts on an E. I'm using smart music accompaniment. I think it's really brilliant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it, and we're going to play it a number of times through. So let's go for it. Isn't it? I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit and we'll do it again. That you play it through quite a number of times, just to strengthen your embouchure. So we move on. Just waiting for the smart music to load. Wonderful, wonderful program. Go to smartmusic.com. It's $36 to subscribe for the year. Heaps of stuff to play with. I recommend it to all my students. Okay, now you're going to recognise this tune. I recommend that you play the solos out of both parts. So, did we recognise the tune? It's actually Jolly Old Saint Nicholas. Play both parts. What I did was I took the solo line out of the parts just to... so let's play that again. concept of articulation. There's quite a lot of articulation in these exercises, and I do recommend that you go da, 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 just gently touching the tongue to the tip of the reed, and by practicing saying da with the tongue actually hitting the back of the top teeth very lightly. That's how you want it on a clarinet. Okay, there's some rhythmic stuff on the next page. We won't worry about that. Okay, so what we've got now is crotchet rest. Now, I recommend that you don't stop the air during the breath. Well, it's your choice, really. Let's loop this and we'll play it a few times. Recommend, well, actually what you should be doing is when you play the crotchet, you play the crotchet all the way up to the next beat. So you go 1 off, 1 2. So when you hit the 2, you're off. 1 1 da da da. Because the note finishes at the beginning of the next beat, not at the end of the first beat. Okay, we've got a nice little tune. We've got minims, we've got crotchet semi-breeze, crotchet rests. This should be fun, little duet. See if you can play with somebody. I'll play it through a couple of times. Although I note that you can't do the second part yet. We haven't learnt B natural yet. That's all right. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Right, now we're learning a new note, B flat. So if this is your A, this key at the back is called the register key. You whack that on and make sure that your thumb isn't covering the thumb hole. You get B flat. So to go from A to B flat. Now notice this is B flat. We'll learn B natural a little bit later. Let's loop this a couple of times. And so that's B flat. Right, so now we've got our first key signature of one B flat. It's actually the key signature of the F major scale, which you'll be learning a little bit later. We've got a 2 with a couple of train tracks and dots. What that means is that you repeat the 2 previous bars. Tricky, we're going from G to B flat. So you have to put the register key down as well as the A key down to get the B flat. And I'm just going to take it a little bit slower so that we can get this. That's what I love about smart music, is you can program it to go slow. Right, let's loop this and try this a couple of times. And see how far you can go without breathing? Without having to take a breath. And once more for good measure. So that means every single B in that piece is a B flat unless it's signed otherwise. Okay, so now we're going to put together all the notes we know. We're going from an F to an A. So just make sure that your fingers are good for that. Let's loop it a few times. I advise you to loop it because the longer you can start playing, the greater the stamina your embouchure will develop, and you'll be able to play for ages and ages and ages. Times. All right, so that's a very well-known tune, isn't it? Right, we're learning something new now, the concept of 3/4 times. So there's 3 beats in a bar, like in a waltz, you know. then we've got what's called a dotted minim or a dotted half note. What a dot does after a note is adds half the value of the note before it. So if you've got a dot after a minim, it's a minim plus half a minim. So it's a half note plus a quarter note, which is 3 quarter note beats. So we're thinking 3, 4, we're thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to loop this a couple of times. Do it again. So that's fun. 3-4 times fun. It's probably something you're not used to, but I love 3-4 time. The music was originally written sort of in 3-4. It's a very popular sort of folk tune. If you think Happy Birthday, and also the Star Spangled Banner. That's in 3-4. God Save the Queen. So there's lots of stuff in 3-4 time if you want to go looking for it. I think we'll leave this lesson here. In the next lesson, we will be looking at slurs and ties. A slur is where you don't articulate the note after it. So, and a tie is kind of like that, except it's the same note and you don't retongue the note. So if you've got a dotted half note tied to another dotted half note, you play a dotted full note. Yeah, a little bit of mess there for you. So I think we'll leave it for this lesson. You'll be able to recognise more tunes as they come. But yeah, so that's your 7th clarinet lesson. Please join me for your 8th. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.